Thank you. One last question for both of you. As we know, Russia is increasingly using wrongful detention of U.S. citizens as a foreign policy tool. As we speak, American citizens Paul Whelan, Evan Gershkovich remain wrongfully detained. I remain concerned about the welfare of Jimmy Wilgus, whose parents are New Jersey constituents. At the same time, Russia's most prominent opposition leaders, Alexei Navalny, Vladimir Kara-Murza, languish in Russian prisons on trumped-up charges. So, for both of you, if you have any insights, first, what can we do, if anything, to limit Russia's use of wrongful detention in this way? And second, what different approach could we be taking to the continuing detentions of Navalny and Kara-Murza?
Well, I spent a lot of time thinking about these issues, Mr. Chairman. I was there when Brittany Griner was arrested, visited Paul Whelan many times, Trevor Reed. It is a policy of the Russian government, but the Russian government under Putin uses every aspect of Russian society is put to what the goals that President Putin has for Russia: the Russian Orthodox Church, the national airline, the court system, the judicial system. Their courts look beautiful. Their courtrooms, it's a beautiful building. It's a beautiful courtroom. It's a Potemkin court. It is used by the Russian security services and the Kremlin to achieve their policy ends. There is no justice. There's no independent judiciary. So they are, in my opinion, and I think it's pretty widely shared, they are arresting Americans, and when they catch an American, and they are able to detain them, and that American has certain characteristics, whether it's an Olympic gold medalist or a Wall Street Journal reporter that they can get their hooks in, they are going to use that person just as they use every other aspect of Russian society to their advantage against us in their war against us. So I think the best I can come up with, Senator, in response to your question, is to discourage Americans from traveling to Russia unless there's an extraordinary need, particularly Americans who have served in the military, have or had a security clearance, have some prominence. But I also think we have to engage in multilateral diplomacy because it shouldn't just be an American problem when a Wall Street Journal reporter, a 31-year-old man who is doing his job as an international correspondent, is arrested on trumped-up espionage charges. That shouldn't just be a problem of the United States.
Those are all excellent points. The only thing I would add is a little bit tangential, which is, you know, the detention of the Wall Street Journal reporter is, I think it's intentional and intended to have a chilling effect on having other American and Western journalists in the country. So it's another way that Vladimir Putin is ensuring that we can't shine a light on his domestic repression and really have insight into the changes that are taking place in Russia. That's going to make it ever more difficult for the United States to be able to keep a pulse on these changes in Russian society and understand what is happening inside Russia. So it's not a preventative measure, but it's a mitigation tactic, which is to continue to fund investigative journalists and the journalists who are doing their work outside of Russia. Many of them still have ways to contact their sources back inside Russia. So it is going to leave a big black box that makes this ever harder for us to understand the Russia that we face. And if we can't prevent it, we should at least try to mitigate the impact by continuing to fund those journalists outside and the other Russians who have left.
I appreciate that. Well, you said something, Ambassador Sullivan, that I've been contemplating, which is some type of a universal convention, sort of like an Article 5 on wrongful detention. If you wrongfully detain a citizen of a country of the convention, then all countries spring into action and the consequences, because then the ante would be up, the cost would be up for wrongfully detaining of citizens. I think of the Canadians who had a few citizens that were detained elsewhere. This is going to be a continuing problem. So long as the consequences are little and the rewards are big, we'll continue to lose people. Well, with the thanks of the committee, this record for this hearing will remain open until the close of business on Wednesday, May 17th. We appreciate your insights, and this hearing is adjourned.